It wasn't just a comment. It was a storm, and she was drowning in it. Her name was Lena, 23, smart, funny, trying her best in a world that rewarded perfection but punished the slightest mistake. It all started with a photo. Nothing scandalous. Just a blurry selfie with a coworker at a weekend brunch. The problem? That coworker had a girlfriend, and someone with just enough bitterness and too much time, made up a story. She's a homewrecker. She knew exactly what she was doing. This is who she really is. Within hours, the post went viral. Not the kind of viral people dream about. The kind that spreads like poison. Her inbox exploded. Anonymous messages, threats, slurs. People she hadn't seen in years reposting the lie, adding their own spin. Friends went silent. Family looked at her differently. Even her boss pulled her aside. "We just think it's best if you take some time off." Lena didn't argue. She just nodded, walked out, and never went back. At home, she locked the door and the windows, like that would keep out the noise. She deleted the apps, but her mind kept scrolling. What if they were right? What if one mistake, or even the illusion of one, defined her forever? She barely slept. She barely ate. She didn't cry, not at first. But then came the moment. A mirror, a shattered phone, and a whisper. "You're disgusting." Except this time, the voice was hers. That's when the silence began. The kind that wraps around you like cold water. The kind that doesn't let go. She didn't pray. She wasn't sure she believed anymore. If God was real, where was he now? Sometimes healing doesn't begin with an answer. It begins with enough strength to leave the house. Lena hadn't left her apartment in 3 days. The curtains stayed closed. Her phone stayed off. Her thoughts stayed loud. She paced between the kitchen and the couch, unsure what she was hungry for, food or peace. On the 4th day, someone knocked. She froze. Not the delivery guy, not a neighbor, just a knock. She didn't answer. Then came the knock again. Soft, deliberate. Like the person on the other side knew she was listening. "Hi. I'm from down the hall. My name's Sarah. I know this might sound weird, but I brought you something." Silence. "You don't have to open the door. I'll just leave it here." She heard the sound of a small bag being placed on the floor. A moment later, footsteps fading. Lena waited a full 5 minutes. Then she cracked the door. Inside the bag, a sandwich, a bottle of water, and a little card taped to the side. She almost threw it away, but something about the handwriting stopped her. It said, "There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus." Romans 8:1. She stared at it. The words didn't accuse. They didn't demand. They simply existed and pierced through the noise. She went back inside, sat on the floor, read the card again, then again. Later that night, she powered on her phone, not to scroll, not to post, but to search. Bible verses about shame. Does God forgive people who mess up publicly? Is grace real? And just like that, something began to crack open. Not all at once, but enough light to see the next step. She didn't feel healed. She didn't feel strong. But for the first time in days, she felt seen. The world called her broken. God still called her his. Lena didn't change overnight. There were still days she couldn't look people in the eye, still nights she turned her phone face down just to breathe. But the verse on that card, Romans 8:1, stayed taped to her bathroom mirror. There is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. Not less condemnation, not conditional acceptance, no condemnation. One Sunday, after too many excuses, she walked into a small church 4 blocks from her apartment. No one stared. No one whispered. She expected judgment. Instead, she got a smile and a bulletin. She sat in the back, hoodie pulled up, trying to disappear. But then the pastor began to speak. "Some of you came in today thinking you're too messed up to be here. that God has already made up his mind about you. But I'm here to tell you, he hasn't turned his back. He's holding out his hand. Lena's heart began to race. It wasn't about her anymore. It was about the one who still saw her through the mess. After the service, she didn't run out like she planned. She stood in the lobby, holding a cup of cheap church coffee, trying to decide if she should leave. That's when Sarah walked in, the woman from the hallway. Their eyes met. No awkwardness, just quiet recognition. Sarah smiled. "I'm glad you came." That was all she said. That was all Lena needed. That night, Lena opened her laptop. The hate posts were still there. Screenshots, threads, DMS. But now, they didn't define her because something else did. She clicked New Post. Her fingers hovered for a moment. Then she typed, "I messed up. I got labeled. I almost gave up. But I found grace. Not because I deserved it, but because Jesus never stopped calling me by name. No condemnation. Romans 8. She hit publish, not to defend herself, but to free herself. Maybe the internet named you something you're not. Maybe your past echoes louder than your faith. Maybe the world said, "You're done." But listen closely. God is still calling you by name, not your mistake, not your failure, your name. And where shame says, "Hide," grace says, "Come home." Inspired by Romans 8:1, there is now no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus.